Look, I'm going to be brutally honest with you right now. You're being manipulated every single day. And the worst part, you don't even realize it. That decision you think you made on your own. Someone planted the seed. That desire that seems to come from within. It was manufactured. That insecurity that paralyzes you. It was installed in your mind by people who profit from you being weak, confused, and controllable. And before you think this is a conspiracy theory, let me show you the stark reality. There's a giant game going on with clear rules, and you were never invited to learn those rules. Why? Because a conscious player isn't manipulable. A conscious player doesn't buy what they don't need, doesn't accept crumbs when they deserve the feast, doesn't dance to the tune others choose. And you know who understood this more than 500 years ago? Machiavelli. The guy everyone loves to hate, who became synonymous with villain, but who was actually the only one honest enough to write the manual that the powerful already secretly followed. And today, in this video, you're going to learn exactly what they don't want you to know. Now, I know what you're thinking. But I'm not naive. I know how to take care of myself. Is that really true? Then answer me this. Why do you spend money on things you don't need? Why do you accept working conditions that make you unhappy but don't have the courage to change? Why do you stay in relationships where you give more than you receive? Why do you feel like you're always chasing after someone, never in control? Look, it's not your fault. Nobody taught you the real rules. At school, they taught you to be obedient, not strategic. At home, they taught you to be nice, not to have power. In society, they sold you the illusion that if you work hard and are honest, everything will work out. A lie. The truth is that while you play by the rules you were taught, others play by the real rules and win everything. But here's the good news, the news that can change your life from now on. These rules can be learned. This manipulable mind can be transformed into a sharp, immune, powerful mind. And the knowledge that will do this isn't in an expensive course. It's not locked away in an elite university. It's right here, in this video, available to you now. In the next few minutes, you'll discover how a 200% sharper mind works. One that sees the game while others are still trying to understand the pieces. You'll understand the mindset that built empires and toppled kingdoms, the one Machiavelli described, and that continues to work today, right now, at this very moment. You'll delve into hidden psychology, the invisible patterns that control 99% of people, and you'll learn not only how to defend yourself against them, but how to use them to your advantage in an ethical and powerful way. You'll receive practical tools, not empty theory, but techniques you can apply today to harden your mind, sharpen your focus, and build steely self-control. You'll learn to truly think differently, to see opportunities where others see only obstacles, to break the mental limitations that keep you small. And most importantly, you'll understand the dynamics of power and influence that shape your reality, and you'll finally have the key to go from being controlled to being the controller of your own life. So the question remains, will you continue to be a piece on the board, or will you become a player? Because after this video, ignorance is no longer an excuse. Stay with me until the end, because this isn't just another shallow self-help video. This is the knowledge that separates those who lead from those who obey, those who achieve from those who only dream. And I guarantee you'll never see the world or yourself the same way again. If something inside you awakened while listening, don't ignore that feeling. This channel isn't about videos, it's about memories. Remember who you were before the fear, before the exhaustion, before the silence. Each new video here is a different reflection of your own soul, an invitation to understand what the world never taught you. The power you seek outside has always been within you. If you feel that this journey speaks to what lives silently within you, sign up now. Not to follow yet another creator, but to reconnect with something the world tried to make you forget. Because here, every word was made to heal, each reflection to awaken, and each video serves as a reminder. You are not alone on the path back to yourself. Click on subscribe and turn the algorithm into a daily reminder of who you really are. And if you're subscribed to the channel, we have a bonus in the first pinned comment. Look, when we talk about having a 200% sharper mind, it's not about becoming a genius overnight or memorizing complex formulas. It's about something much more practical and powerful. Being able to see the game that's being played while everyone else is still trying to understand the rules. You know, that person who always seems one step ahead, who makes decisions while others are still thinking. Well, they've developed a mental clarity that works like a scalpel cutting through the fog of confusion. And here's a secret few people tell you. This ability isn't a divine gift, it's deliberate construction. A sharp mind is one that has learned to separate the essential from the noise, that identifies patterns where others see only chaos. It's like having a GPS while everyone else is using a torn map in the rain. Machiavelli already understood this back in the 16th century. He didn't have superpowers, but he had an absurd capacity to see reality as it really is, without the colored filters of illusions. This politics guided by reality, not by ideals, is precisely what separates those who build empires from those who only dream of them. And when you start thinking differently, when your mind gains that sharp clarity, opportunities that were once invisible begin to appear like neon signs. But then you might be wondering, okay, but what exactly changes when my mind gets sharper? Let me tell you, first, you stop being a hostage to your own emotions and impulses. That anger that made you send a message and regret it later. Controlled. That fear that prevented you from taking a chance on a clear opportunity. Mastered. A sharp mind has self-control, and self-control is pure power. Second point, you develop constant adaptability, that ninja ability to read the environment and adjust without losing your essence. Think of a chameleon, but conscious and strategic. Third, you start making decisions based on real human nature, not on that fantasy of how people should be. And that changes everything, because you start predicting behaviors, anticipating moves, positioning your pieces on the board even before the game begins. It's like playing chess, knowing exactly what your opponent's next move will be. This mental clarity gives you an advantage in negotiations, relationships, career, business, in literally everything. And you don't need to become a cold robot, far from it. It's about having lucidity when everyone else is lost in emotional confusion. Now, thinking differently is the icing on the cake. It's no use just having clarity if you continue using the same mental patterns everyone else uses, arriving at the same obvious conclusions. Thinking differently means questioning what seems unquestionable, looking at the same scenario that millions see and drawing a unique conclusion. You know, when everyone is buying Bitcoin at $60,000 and you realize you've already missed the point, or when everyone flees a market and you identify a golden opportunity. That's thinking differently. It's using what I call Machiavellian vision, not in the negative sense the word has been given, but in the strategic sense of someone who understands that the end justifies the means when the objective is legitimate. It's about creating your own internal compass, guided by sharp logic and precise observation, not by what the herd is doing. And when you combine expanded mental clarity with the ability to think outside the box, man, you're no longer competing in the same game as everyone else. You're playing a different game, with rules you helped write yourself. And that's not arrogance, it's a direct result of training your mind to see beyond the obvious. So let's get straight to the point. When you hear the word Machiavellian, you probably think of a movie villain, someone plotting in the dark to destroy others, right? Well, forget that. That's the distorted version they've crammed into our heads. The true Machiavellian mindset is about understanding how the world really works, not how we'd like it to work. It's about keen observation, calculated strategy, and the intelligent use of the power you have, whatever it may be. Machiavelli wasn't a monster. He was a brilliant scholar who had the courage to write down the unwritten rules of the game. He observed kings, popes, generals, and noted, "Oh, whoever acts this way wins, whoever acts that way loses." And guess what? His conclusions still hold true 500 years later because human nature hasn't changed at all. This politics guided by reality, not by romantic ideals, is precisely what most people lack. Everyone wants to believe that being nice and naive solves everything. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. The world isn't cruel, but it's not a fairy tale either. It's a complex chessboard where those who understand the rules have the advantage. And understanding those rules begins with 3 pillars: power, observation, and strategy. Let's talk about power first, because that's the most misunderstood concept. Power isn't about shouting louder or being aggressive. Power is influence. It's the ability to shape situations in your favor. It's having options when others don't. It can be financial power, the power of knowledge, the power of relationships, the power of discipline. Machiavelli taught something crucial. It's better to be feared than loved, but the trick is never to be hated. In other words, you need respect and authority, but you can't create unnecessary enemies. Think of a leader that everyone loves, but no one respects. They don't last. Now think of a leader who generates respect, who people know has a firm hand, but is fair. That's the one who builds a legacy. In your life, this means setting clear boundaries, not being anyone's doormat, but also not being a stupid tyrant. It's about having the appearance of virtue, being seen as someone trustworthy and correct, while maintaining the flexibility to use all the necessary resources to protect your interests. You know that boss who's everyone's best friend but can't get the team to deliver results. They lack legitimate power. Now, who is the one who manages to be firm, demanding, but whom the team respects and follows? That one understood the lesson. Observation and strategy are the other 2 pillars that complete the tripod. Observation isn't just looking, it's seeing beyond the surface. It's realizing that when someone praises you excessively, they might be testing you. It's noticing that when everyone agrees too quickly, something is wrong. It's identifying patterns of behavior that reveal hidden intentions. Machiavelli was a master at this. He observed how the powerful acted in the shadows and transformed those observations into applicable knowledge. And strategy, it's taking those observations and transforming them into planned action. It's making decisions based on real human nature, knowing that people act out of self-interest most of the time. This isn't cynicism, it's pragmatism. A practical example, you're negotiating a salary. Instead of just asking for a raise because you deserve it, you observe the company's current situation, map out how much you save for it, identify your bargaining chip, and present it strategically. You're not being mean, you're being intelligent. Or think about relationships. Instead of assuming everyone is your friend, you observe who really shows up when things get tough. This is using virtù, that personal capacity to act with excellence, to navigate fortune, the changing circumstances of life. And when you master these 3 elements, power, observation, and strategy, your thinking ceases to be ordinary and becomes truly elevated. Now we're entering territory that many people are afraid to explore, but which is absolutely essential if you truly want to sharpen your mind: occult psychology. And look, before you think this is something out of a horror movie or crazy talk, let me explain. Occult psychology is simply the study of the mental and behavioral mechanisms that operate below the surface of consciousness, both in your mind and in the minds of others. It's about understanding how manipulation works, Not so you can manipulate everyone like a psychopath, but precisely so you don't get manipulated. Because whether you like it or not, every day you are the target of attempts at influence, advertising that plays on your desires, people who use guilt to control you, political speeches that appeal to fear, social media that hijack your attention. If you don't understand these hidden patterns, you're just another puppet dancing to the tune others have chosen. And Machiavelli already understood this. He understood that reality has layers, that behind appearances there are complex games of power and influence. Knowing these dynamics gives you immunity against them. It's like getting vaccinated. You need to know the virus to avoid getting infected. Let's talk about internal distractions first, because that's the #1 enemy of a sharp mind. You know that mental dialogue that never stops? Am I good enough? What if I fail? So-and-so must be thinking badly of me. All of that is internal noise, pure distraction that dilutes your focus and keeps you trapped in a cycle of unproductive anxiety. Occult psychology teaches you to identify these patterns and cut them off at the root. How? First, by recognizing that a good part of these thoughts are not yours. It's social programming, past trauma, manufactured fear. Second, by developing what I call the calculated use of mental force. You direct your conscious energy to the thoughts that matter and brutally ignore the rest. Think of it this way. Your mind is like an army. If you have soldiers fighting each other, wasting ammunition on internal conflicts, you've already lost before the battle even begins. But if you have your own loyal armies, that is, aligned thoughts, disciplined mental energy, you become unbeatable. A practical exercise. Every day, set aside 10 minutes to sit in silence and just observe your thoughts without judging them. Don't try to control it, just observe. Over time, you start to see the patterns, the repetitions, the triggers. And then you gain the power to choose what to feed and what to let starve. Now, about dealing with external manipulation. This is where things get really interesting. Most people live on autopilot, reacting to stimuli like programmed robots. Someone uses scarcity, last unit buy now, and there goes the person spending money they don't have. Someone uses reciprocity, I did this for you, now you owe me. And the person accepts something they don't want just to avoid seeming ungrateful. Understanding these techniques, and there are several like anchoring, social proof, authority, commitment and consistency, transforms you from a target into a conscious observer. You start to see the strings of the puppet theater. And then comes the most powerful part. You also learn to use these tools ethically to achieve your goals. For example, if you're presenting an idea at work using social proof, companies like Google and Amazon already do this, increases your chances of approval. Is this manipulation? No, it's a communication strategy based on how the human mind really works. The difference between using it ethically or unethically lies in the intention. Do you want to create value or just extract it? Do you want a win-win relationship or just to take advantage? Decisions based on real human nature include understanding that we all have cognitive biases, blind spots, buttons that can be pushed. Knowing this gives you constant adaptability. You read the environment, identify what's going on behind the scenes, and act accordingly. And in the end, mastering hidden psychology doesn't turn you into a villain. It turns you into someone who plays chess while others are still playing checkers. Okay, now that you understand the concept of having a sharp mind, a strategic mindset, and the hidden patterns operating in your life, it's time to get down to business, because theory without practice is just bar talk, you know? And hardening your mind isn't about becoming insensitive or turning into a cold stone. Far from it. It's about building mental resilience, creating an inner fortress that doesn't crumble when life decides to test you. And believe me, it will test you. The question is, will you be prepared or will you melt at the first difficulty? The three main tools for building this fortress are focus, silencing mental weakness, and self-control. And look, this isn't empty motivational talk. It's a concrete structure you can implement starting today. Machiavelli didn't build his reputation as a brilliant strategist just by reading books. He practiced, observed, adjusted, and repeated. This constant adaptability comes from training, not luck. And the first step is developing such sharp focus that nothing throws you off course. In a world where everyone is addicted to notifications, endless scrolling, and constant distraction, having focus has become a superpower. It's literally the difference between building something meaningful and spending years going around in circles without getting anywhere. Let's break down focus first. Focus isn't about doing several things at once. That's multitasking, and it's been proven that multitasking is a myth that only makes you dumber. Focus is about doing one thing at a time with total intensity. It's about creating your own loyal armies of attention, where every neuron is marching in the same direction. A practical method to train this: the Pomodoro technique. You choose a task, set a timer for 25 minutes, and work only on that, without picking up your phone, without opening a browser tab, without anything. Then you rest for 5 minutes and repeat. It seems simple, but it's brutal. In the first few days, your mind will scream. It will try to convince you that you need to check the message, watch that video, answer that email, ignore it. This is the calculated use of force applied in practice. You're training your mental muscle to obey you, not random impulses. Another powerful tool is to define your one thing. Every day, before doing anything else, what is the one task that, if you complete it, will make the day worthwhile? Do that first. This is a decision based on real human nature. You know your mental energy is finite, so use it on what truly matters, not on crumbs. Now let's talk about the silence of mental weakness, which is probably the most powerful and most ignored tool. You know that voice in your head that's always sabotaging you? You're not capable. Who do you think you are? Everyone will laugh at you. You better not even try. That voice needs to be silenced with extreme prejudice. And no, it's not about forced positive thinking or silly affirmations in the mirror. It's about recognizing that this voice is just an echo of old fears, past traumas, expectations that other people have placed on you. It's not true, it's just noise. The practice: when that voice appears, you don't argue with it. You don't try to convince it otherwise. You simply act despite it. It says, "You will fail." You act. It says, "Everyone will judge." You act. Consistent action is the best antidote against mental weakness. And there's a trick I learned. Write down the weak thoughts that frequently appear. Literally write them on a piece of paper. Then look at them objectively and ask yourself, if a friend of mine had this thought, would I agree or find it absurd? Generally, you realize how irrational they are. This creates distance between you and your thoughts, and you realize you're not obligated to believe everything your mind produces. And what about self-control? Man, that's the foundation of everything. It's better to be feared than loved, in the sense that it's better to have control over yourself than to be a slave to your impulses. Self-control is daily practice. It starts with small things: resisting that food you know you shouldn't eat, getting out of bed when the alarm rings instead of hitting snooze, going to the gym even when you don't feel like it. Each small victory builds confidence and strengthens your self-control for bigger decisions. It's literally strengthening virtue, your personal capacity to master fortuna, the external circumstances that try to control you. So, you already have mental clarity. You understand the strategy, you know the hidden patterns, and you're hardening your mind. But there's still a crucial piece of the puzzle missing: learning to truly think differently. And look, this isn't about being contrarian just for the sake of it. It's not about disagreeing with everything everyone says to seem intelligent. Thinking differently is about having the courage to question the ready-made truths that have been shoved down your throat since childhood. It's about looking at the same problem that millions of people see and finding a solution that no one has thought of. Do you know why most people think the same way? Because it's comfortable, it's safe, it's accepted. You don't run the risk of being criticized if you think like everyone else. But you also don't create anything relevant. You don't innovate. You don't move forward. Machiavelli thought differently, and that's why he was hated for centuries. He had the audacity to write about politics guided by reality, not by romantic ideals that everyone wanted to believe. He broke the taboo. He said what no one dared to say. And guess what? Today, he is studied in the best universities in the world. Thinking differently has a cost, but it also has a huge reward. The question is, are you willing to pay the price of originality? Breaking mental limitations begins with identifying what those limitations are. And the great truth is that most of them aren't even yours. They're beliefs you've absorbed without questioning. Money doesn't grow on trees. You have to suffer to achieve something in life. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. These popular sayings, they are mental prisons disguised as wisdom. I'm not saying they're all lies, but I am saying you need to question them. A brutal exercise to do. Take a strong belief you have about any area of life and try to defend the opposite for 10 minutes. Force your mind to find arguments against what you believe to be absolute truth. This creates cognitive flexibility. It takes you out of rigidity. And you know what else limits thinking? The fear of being wrong. People prefer to hold a wrong opinion for years rather than admit they were mistaken. That's pure ego, and ego is the mortal enemy of mental evolution. Decisions based on real human nature include accepting that you will make mistakes, many mistakes, and that this is part of the process. The world's greatest investors, like Warren Buffett, openly talk about the billion-dollar mistakes they've made. Why? Because they learned that mistakes are a given. The problem is not learning from them. Constant adaptability means being willing to change your mind when the facts change. Seeing what others don't see is the highest level of differentiated thinking. And this comes from training your perception to notice details that go unnoticed. When everyone looks at a situation and draws the same obvious conclusion, you need to ask, what am I missing? A practical example. When the pandemic started in 2020, most people panicked completely. But some entrepreneurs saw a huge opportunity. Delivery exploded. Video calling tools like Zoom multiplied in value. Hygiene products became a goldmine. Same situation, radically different perspectives. What made the difference? Some thought, everything is lost. Others thought, the game has changed. How do I adapt and profit from this? This is thinking like Machiavelli thought. The end justifies the means when the end is legitimate, and surviving a crisis is definitely legitimate. Another powerful technique, seek references outside your bubble. If you work in technology, study philosophy. If you are an artist, study business. If you are an entrepreneur, study psychology. The best ideas are born at the intersection of different fields. Steve Jobs used to say this, Apple only revolutionized design because he studied calligraphy in college. Unlikely connections generate insights impossible to achieve by thinking inside the box. And there's more. Surround yourself with people who think differently from you, not echo chambers where everyone agrees, but environments where your ideas are challenged. This hurts, it's uncomfortable, but it's where real growth happens. And in the end, seeing what others don't see gives you a brutal competitive advantage in any area of life. You identify opportunities first, avoid traps that bring others down, and build unique paths that no one else is taking. Now we arrive at one of the most fascinating and, at the same time, most ignored topics: the dynamics of power and influence that operate invisibly around you all the time. And look, this isn't conspiracy theory or paranoia. It's simply recognizing that there's a game happening. There always has been, there always will be. And you can choose between being a conscious player or a pawn being moved. The harsh reality is that power exists, hierarchies exist, and while you pretend they don't exist or think it's wrong to admit it, other people are using these dynamics to shape their reality and consequently yours as well. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He didn't invent the power game, he just had the honesty to write down the rules that everyone already followed, but no one admitted. And do you know what the first step to understanding these dynamics is? To remove the blindfold and accept that the appearance of virtue often matters more than real virtue. I'm not saying you should be deceitful. I'm saying that perception is reality in people's minds. Someone can be competent, but if they don't know how to communicate and assert themselves, they'll be ignored. Another can be mediocre, but if they know how to play the social game, they'll rise. Fair? No. Real? Absolutely. Let's talk about the invisible games that play out in every environment. Work, family, social groups, relationships. There's always someone vying for status, even unconsciously. There's always someone trying to influence group decisions. There are always informal hierarchies that matter more than formal ones. You can pretend not to see them, but that doesn't make the game disappear. It only leaves you vulnerable. A classic example. In the corporate environment, promotions don't necessarily go to those who work the most, but to those who have visibility with decision makers. You can work 12 hours a day producing results, but if the boss doesn't know, if you haven't created a narrative around your value, someone else who works less but positions themselves better will get the credit. Does that revolt you? That's normal. But revolt without action is just resentment that corrodes you. The smart move is to understand these dynamics and use them to your advantage. It means showing up at the right meetings, building strategic relationships, communicating your results in a way that generates impact. This isn't being fake. It's understanding that the calculated use of force includes social and political force. And there's more. In any group, there are always opinion leaders. Those people who, when they speak, others listen. Identify who these people are. Position yourself on their radar. It's not flattery, it's strategy. The patterns of control are even more subtle and powerful. Control isn't just about giving orders and countermanding them. That's the crude and obvious way. Real control is about shaping the environment, the available options, what is considered acceptable or not. Think about it this way. Whoever controls the information controls the narrative. Whoever controls the narrative controls perception. Whoever controls perception controls people's decisions. This happens on a macro scale, governments, media, giant corporations, but also on a micro scale in your daily life. That friend who always chooses where the group goes, they're exercising control. That colleague who sets the tone of meetings, control. That family member who manipulates through guilt, emotional control. And you, are you exercising control over your own life, or are you being controlled? Because if you don't actively define your priorities, someone else will define them for you. If you don't protect your time, the demands of others will consume it. This is the harsh reality that nobody tells you. Either you take the reins or you become a beast of burden. And look, this isn't about being selfish or evil. It's about recognizing that virtue, your personal capacity for action, needs to be used to navigate fortune, the changing circumstances. You can be good, you can be ethical, you can be generous, but you need to do so from a position of strength, not weakness. Because goodness stemming from weakness is just disguised submission. Goodness stemming from strength is a conscious and powerful choice. And when you understand all these dynamics, the invisible games, the patterns of control, the hidden hierarchies, you stop being a victim of circumstances and begin to be the architect of your reality. Okay, now you've reached the point that separates those who only consume content from those who truly transform lives. Applicability. Because it's absolutely useless to have absorbed everything we've talked about so far. Mental clarity, strategic mindset, hidden psychology, practical tools, differentiated thinking, power dynamics. If it remains only in theory, only in your head, only in one day I'll do it. Knowledge without application is like a gym without training. You pay the membership fee, buy the nice sneakers, but remain out of shape. And look, the great trap that catches most people is precisely this. They become experts in consuming information, but never put anything into practice. They watch 1,000 videos, read dozens of books, know Machiavelli by heart, but when the time comes, in the real situation, they freeze. Why? Because knowing is not doing, and doing, my friend, doing is where the magic happens. Decisions based on real human nature include accepting that you will make mistakes, that the first applications will be clumsy, that you won't get everything right the first time. But each attempt, each mistake, each adjustment makes you sharper. It's constant adaptability in action, not just a pretty concept. So let's get down to business. How do you take that 200% sharper mind and transform it into concrete results? First, choose a specific area of your life to start with. Don't try to change everything at once because you'll get frustrated and give up. Choose one. It could be your career, your relationships, your finances, your health. Let's suppose you chose your career. Now apply what you've learned. Use strategic observation to map out who the key people are in your company or field, who has real influence, who makes the decisions that matter. Build relationships with these people, not in a false way, but genuinely. Seek to learn from them, add value to them. This is the calculated use of social power. Second, identify the most valuable skill you could develop in the next 6 months that would give you a brutal competitive advantage. It could be learning to negotiate better, mastering a high-demand technical tool, or developing your public speaking skills. Choose one and go for it. Focus with total intensity, using those focus techniques we talked about. Third, communicate your results strategically. It's not about bragging, it's about ensuring the right people know the value you deliver. That's understanding that outward appearances of virtue matter. If you do excellent work but nobody knows, you're wasting some of your effort. Now, strategic advantage in life comes from consistently applying these principles across multiple areas simultaneously over time. Think of it this way. Each small investment is like compound interest. Individually, it seems insignificant, but it accumulates over months and years, and the difference between you and someone who doesn't invest becomes abysmal. A practical example of complete application: you're negotiating the purchase of a car. Most people arrive at the dealership and accept the first price, or at most try a timid bargain. You, with a sharp mind, do things differently. First, you research exhaustively beforehand. You know how much that model is worth in different places. You know the average profit margin of the salesperson. You know if there are any seasonal promotions coming. This is preparation based on reality, not guesswork. Second, when you get there, you use psychology. You don't show anxiety, you show that you have other options, even if you don't. You ask questions that subtly put the salesperson on the defensive. How much commission do you pay on this model? This destabilizes them because it reverses the power dynamic. Third, use the technique of silence. When he mentions the price, you remain in an uncomfortable silence. Most people can't stand silence and start making concessions just to fill the void. This is applying everything: strategy, psychology, power dynamics, self-control, and it works. Not just for buying a car, but for negotiating salaries, closing deals, resolving conflicts, practically everything. The secret is simple. The end justifies the means when you're pursuing something legitimate ethically. You're not deceiving anyone, you're playing the game masterfully. And in the end, having a sharp mind is only worthwhile if you use it to build the life you want, to create real advantages, to transform theory into tangible achievement. And so we've reached the end. But look, this ending is actually just the beginning of something much bigger for you. Because everything you've seen here, everything you've learned about having a sharp mind, about strategy, about occult psychology, about power and influence, all of that is worthless if it stays just in your head as pretty information. The real question now is, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to let this knowledge die here, forgotten in 2 hours when you scroll through your feed and get distracted by 1,000 other things? Or are you going to have the courage to apply it, to test it, to transform your life with what you've learned? Because look, I can guarantee you one thing. If you take even 20% of what we've talked about here and truly apply it consistently over the next 30 days, your life will change in ways you can't even imagine. You'll start to see patterns that were previously invisible. You'll make decisions that previously paralyzed you. You'll take a stand in situations where you previously only accepted them. And the people around you, they'll notice that something has changed in you, even without being able to identify exactly what. So answer me honestly, are you tired of being manipulated? Are you tired of always feeling one step behind while others move forward? Are you tired of having potential but not seeing results? Are you tired of knowing you could be more, have more, achieve more, but something always holds you back? Well, that something isn't bad luck, it isn't lack of opportunity, it isn't the system working against you. It's your mind operating in the way you were taught. Reactive mode, emotional mode, manipulable mode. But now you have the chance to change that. You have the map, you have the tools, you have the knowledge that Machiavelli spent a lifetime observing kings and popes to distill. The question is no longer, is it possible to change? The question is, will you have the courage to change? Because look, I'm not going to lie to you. It will be uncomfortable at first. You will make mistakes. You will feel strange applying these things. Your mind will resist because it's used to the old pattern. But it is precisely there, in that discomfort, that real transformation happens. So what will it be? Are you going back to autopilot, or are you going to take full control? Look, if you've made it this far, if you've watched the entire video, that already says something about you. It says you're not like most people who give up halfway through, who look for shortcuts, who want results without effort. You have something different. Now it's time to prove it to yourself. Start today. Choose an area of your life. It could be work, it could be relationships, it could be money, and apply a technique you learned here. Just one. Test it. Observe the result. Adjust it. Test it again. That's the process. And as you see it working, you'll gain confidence, expand to other areas, and refine your approach. In 6 months, you'll look back and won't even recognize who you were before watching this video. Does that sound like an exaggeration? Try it. The only way to know if it works is by experiencing it firsthand. And since you've made it this far and invested all this time watching, why not invest a little more in applying it? It would be a brutal waste to have access to all this and do nothing with the information, don't you think? Now, if you want to keep evolving, if you want more content of this caliber, that gets to the root of things, that isn't afraid to say what needs to be said, then subscribe to the channel now and activate the notification bell. Why? Because I'm preparing more videos exploring these topics in depth. We're going to dive into strategy, persuasion, the psychology of power, high-performance mindset, everything that really matters for you to build a life on your own terms. And look, this isn't a channel of empty motivation that gets you excited for 2 hours and then you go back to the same place. This is dense, applicable, tested knowledge. It's the kind of content you'll want to revisit, that you'll apply again and again, that will make a real difference. So hit that red button, activate notifications, and make sure you don't miss the next videos. Because I guarantee you, if this one already messed with your head, the next ones will take it to another level. And leave a comment below telling me, what part of the video impacted you the most? Which technique will you apply first? I read all the comments, and I love hearing how this content is transforming your lives. See you in the next video. And remember, now you know the rules. Play the game,